What is up, everyone? How are you doing? This is Marshall Lee of DonkeyDropProjects.com, and today we got the Savage Dragon Vault Edition. This is like so cool. If you don't know what Vault Editions are, they're basically, they show the original drawn and inked pages scanned, so you see all the flaws, all the things where they had to do paste ups and all this kind of different stuff. And for me, I just wanted to talk about Savage Dragon real quick. This is the trade paperback. It includes pretty much everything that's in here, but kind of the original. This is about the same size of a comic. It might be a little slightly bigger, but I just wanted to show you. This was a huge inspiration to me, this first trade paperback of Savage Dragon when I was younger. I loved it. You know, I was a big fan of all the Image guys, and I had all these actual comics, but the trade paperback was special for me as well, because of one specific part, but I just wanted to kind of share. But like, again, the Image guys were great to me. Like that was huge inspiration, still is a huge inspiration. Erik Larsen was one of the, I feel like, most complete creators, you know, who really had good anatomy, but he knew how to exaggerate it. We'll get into that more. But the thing that I loved about this was the sketchbook, and I was always everything. One of the things that really impressed me about Erik Larsen and some of the other Image creators is the multitude of characters sometimes that they would have, and the character design. And this was just super inspiring to me as a kid. One day we might just go through that section. If you want a video of that, let me know, because I think that could be cool. All right, so here we got the Savage Dragon Vault Edition. Like I said, look at that. You get like this huge, like, again, it's not giving it justice being like on a phone or maybe on a TV. It sort of is. But you know, it may not be doing it justice, showing how big it is, but it's cool to see it so big. Now, this is, of course, like actually blown up a bit, but you can see like pencil marks that were erased and stuff, blue lines, things like that. Things you would see in your own drawings whenever they're not cleaned up, you know. I mean, look at the power in this, like, it's so good, and it's very Kirby-esque. I mean, Erik Larsen is well known for being a big, you know, Kirby fan, and I feel like the energy of Kirby is definitely, you can see the inspiration in Erik Larsen's work. And it's kind of funny here because these are the first. You know, these are among the first Image comics. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that Savage Dragon, maybe Spawn was the second Image comic. I'm not sure, because I came to Image like maybe a year after, or a half a year after, you know, they first started, because I didn't know about it. I was just learning about comics maybe a couple years before that, and I was into all these artists actually for their other work. I really loved Erik Larsen's Spider-Man work. It's interesting to see this face. Like, this looks almost like early Erik Larsen, like way earlier than this, but it's not. It's just a simpler version of the face. It's just kind of interesting to see it closer up. And one other thing that's interesting, why I wanted to say that this is early Image work, is because look at this. Marvel Comics. This is done on Marvel Comics drawing paper. And not all of them are. I think eventually they turn into Image. And I love, like, you know, this isn't even a 9-panel. What is that? 15-panel grid. That's pretty cool. And you can see the paste ups where with the lettering. I think this is hand lettering. It must be hand lettering, yeah. So that's cool too, because they're doing paste ups. And can you see the Ames guide? I don't know if he's using Ames guide. Probably is. I don't know if he's lettering. Probably he's not the one lettering. I forget. Let's see. It probably says here. Let's see. Chris Aliopoulos. I don't know how to say the last name, but yeah. So, all right. So yeah, there's a lot of. And that's one thing too, is like, whereas like someone like Liefeld, and I love Liefeld, I actually ordered the Youngblood one, the Youngblood Vault edition that's coming out. So I'm looking forward to that coming out. I think it comes out in April. I'll share that with you guys too. One thing with Erik Larsen is you get more than just action. You get actual story in there as well. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. Is he, telling the deepest stories ever? Probably not, but, still something I enjoy personally. You can see where he draws off the page a bunch here and there. Like, he's not being a perfectionist. Exactly. And then here you got the screen tones and stuff. It's interesting to see like the brushwork here. It's really just rough, watery brushwork. Probably a lot of that looks much better with the colors. I mean, it depends on your thoughts, but yeah, here's the, it seems like it gets cleaned up. And, it's not an important detail necessarily. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. I mean, and it's so cool to see Erik Larsen's work blown up in this proportion. And so this is I think this is the actual size. If not, it's close to it. And it's also interesting because like when I was younger, I would draw, these comics, like I would draw my own characters, but I'm drawing them on small pieces of paper. So this right here, like, is like a full figure. And that would always be something interesting where I could maybe practice from or something. Let's see if I can find it. Or maybe I went too far. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it is. But anyways, this is like almost, it's bigger than a comic, Like, this is huge. Like, I wasn't drawing that big when I was a kid. I was drawing more like this size, probably. And it's because the comics, when you read them, they look smaller. So you just kind of draw it the way you see it. But drawing bigger opens up a lot more ability to get certain details in. Like, you can noodle around with details when you're drawing bigger, but I was trying to get those details while drawing smaller. This is interesting because there's like a lot of, the details are very like quick. He's using like maybe a chisel tip there to get in like some of the shadows and stuff. And, it's like he puts a little bit of extra detail on the face, but a lot of the anatomy is just kind of quickly sketched in. Like this hand just looks like a scribble, which the important thing is Savage Dragon's butt. But the important thing is to see that he's holding up this mass of people. And that's pretty good, like, storytelling, I think, I like the figure in the background and stuff. So this light effect is really effective. It really looks like it's flashing on his face and kind of blowing out the details. This page is really messy. It looks like he probably was having a hard time figuring out that fin or something, because that was something, notorious that people have a hard time with. And you could see him redrawing the fin here as well. And he talks about it's important that it comes in the middle and it goes pretty far forward. That's like, but you don't get that until you keep trying. He probably, he drew this a few times and you can see you know, him kind of struggling with it. And then he's got this kind of like paper towel, like splotchy texture there. Pretty cool. I think he's, you know, getting a lot of inspiration from Frank Miller at this point. So you can see some dark moodiness. You'll see it more in different parts as well. Interesting to see too, like, you think of a superhero and they have, you know, a costume with tights and stuff, you know, the typical tights and whatnot. And, you know, he's just in a police suit, but somehow he still looks like a superhero. You don't really think about that too often. You're just like, no, that's Savage Dragon. It's badass, you know, like, but, you know, it's exciting and it's interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking at all the places that were kind of redrawn. It makes you feel like, oh, like I'm not, look at this, blown up. It's crazy. Like, it's so huge. But you just like, it's cool to see like the actual art, because it makes you think, oh, well, maybe it's not so bad that it takes me a few times to draw things. I mean, at this point, he's got a lot of hours. He's got a lot of experience, you know. Oh, he's got, let's see, don't color background this. Yeah, he's got some notes in there. But yeah, it's interesting to see you can see different brushes he's maybe using. Like here, for the shadow, he's just using some kind of a thicker brush of some sort. And this shadow too, it's pretty messy. But like just seeing like the mistakes and stuff, or like the redraws, like I know I've spent a lot of time redrawing things, especially when I was younger, but even now, you know, I still do. And he's a professional and he's like redrawing things, so really cool stuff. So this was probably one of my favorite sequences in all of the original Savage Dragon. I think this is the mini-series, I'm pretty sure. The 4-issue mini-series before he got to the proper, yeah. So, I mean, just that jump to me was like, I personally never saw anything like that. And he does it really well. It really looks like you're looking up, or you could see that she's looking up. Like, that is an important part of storytelling, is showing her looking up. Like, that scale. It's not easy to figure out how to kind of create that scale sometimes. Like, one of the easy ways, like, to do it is usually you put a small figure in front of, like, a big mountain or a big, like, building, or a big, like, a giant character. But this is a different way to do scaling. Like, Savage Dragon is big, but he's small there, and she's small. But it's all this negative space in between, and you see like the trees, and you could see some birds. Like, he's jumping high up there, and he's also not drawn like in super great detail. It's like sketchy, so it's like when you see something from far away, you can't see all the details. So that's an important detail. That's an important thing to pay attention to. Really cool. And then this page, like, you really see he's about to crash in, and then he crashes in. This is a little bit too symmetrical, but it really shows the point that he's coming right down and breaking through that ceiling, that roof, which is pretty ridiculous, you know. Like, nobody's gonna break through a roof like that, but still, it's comic book awesomeness. And there's Wolverine right there. It looks just like Wolverine. And then it's like, I mean, for a kid growing up, like, I'm watching like Terminator 2 and all these like action movies and stuff. As a kid seeing this, it's just like, yes, hell yes. Like, it's so cool. I love it. So yeah, this whole sequence to me is like some of my favorite stuff from Savage Dragon. And he's doing a great job with it. So, and then the next, like, he really knows how to move an action comic book story. I love the shadow on the wall. I remember this being an impactful, you know, scene. Definitely. For me, this was pretty disturbing. almost like McFarlane-esque, with all the webs and the dirtiness. And there's a lot of splotching of, you know, who knows, paper towels, whatever texture or sponge he was using with ink. You know, it's nice to see even, you know, some of these image guys using more techniques, like different brushes and different. Look at how big this is too. Like, that is a shot right there. You know, because not all of them are as adventurous with their techniques, and he's inking his own stuff, so that's impressive too. Because like, you go to Jim Lee and he's got John Williams, he's got now I can't think of of his name, his inker, but I don't know why I can't remember his name, but usually I know it pretty good. But anyways, so, and he has to draw a lot of backs. He does good anatomical backs as well. Not everybody does that. And I don't know if he's doing, if Erik Larsen is doing the sound effects, but I feel like these sound effects look like sound effects I've seen him do. It feels like he's doing it. This is a great shot. And like, another thing too is like, you know, in superhero books, you gotta make your superhero suffer. Like, you can't just like, he's all powerful and he never gets like hurt. Like, this looks dangerous. This looks like, oh no, is he gonna, you have to have that fear almost of like, is the superhero gonna survive? And then he does this, and it's like, this is like such a, like, I don't know, I have a hard time believing in a fight that this move would work, but it looks pretty darn powerful there. And then he's losing blood and he drops to the floor, and it's like, dragon, you know, it's pretty good stuff. And this looks like almost like demented and stuff. Like, it looks creepy, like a you know, technology gone awry, you know. Really cool effect there. You know, how do you get that effect if that's what you want to do? Like, this is how you do it. And it's like, I don't know, like, did he get that from somewhere? What, like, this looks almost like a horror movie, you know, type of thing. And she's small, like, it looks imposing. And then this motif happens throughout. Like, he does this so much. He did it earlier with one of the bad guys too, and obviously he does it in like the intro of the book. You know, with dragons like his what do you call it, origin. And then this, like, from the hospital bed, even like he's finally healed up, and bam, like, he's getting attacked right away. So that's, I mean, this stuff isn't like, why you, a superhero, like, you don't think of him wearing like you know, the hospital gowns and stuff. And it's funny because like, these stupid hospital gowns, they never stay. Like, you're always showing a little butt. Like, there's no way that you can get those hospital gowns to stay. But in this comic, even while he's fighting, it's perfectly there. I don't know, that's just a stupid detail, but it's kind of funny to me. Overlord. And he's back to this 15 panel grid situation. And then you got the press. I mean, that's kind of interesting. Like, he does a lot more. You don't get this in you know, Youngblood. And it's funny because Youngblood, and not to say anything bad about Youngblood, but like, I love, you know, the early era of Youngblood and X-Force. Like, that's some of my favorite stuff ever in comics, personally, just because that's what I grew up in. And I love Liefeld and his energy and what he does, despite whatever flaws you might say. But, you know, the story of Youngblood was supposed to be this whole thing of like dealing with the press, and he didn't really do it in his comics. Savage Dragons doing it. Erik Larsen's doing it. You see, this shows it. This shows it. That shows it, like, really well. And then, of course, I'm talking about Youngblood, and here comes Bad Rock. And this is another badass, like, double-page spread. Like, Erik Larsen is really good at capturing that Kirby-esque energy. That's for sure. I love it. So good. And this whole fight is so stupid. It's like, you know, it turns out that Bad Rock is just trying to test him out for the Youngblood team, which is so dumb. And they, like, ruin all kinds of stuff. And then we got Spawn here. And he's kind of mimicking Todd McFarlane's style slightly here and there, which he does well. Just slightly, though. I kind of did this in my first comic I ever did. This kind of similar thing. That's been done many times in comics. I don't remember it from this comic, so I don't think I technically stole it from there, but. And then you got this and this. There's like this mystery. I don't know how that all played out. I don't think it's anything actually really connected. But, and then another huge Bad Rock Savage Dragon. To be honest, this wham right here is probably the most impactful part in this too. Like, this is really cool. But yeah, good stuff. And Bad Rock gets thrown in jail by Savage Dragon. That's pretty awesome, actually. And then this is good stuff too. So, yep. Let's see what else we got. I want to get to the back section too. We're almost through this. I mean, for a kid, like, I don't care about the love story, you know, when I was a kid. But this was just enough to show the point. And then, like this to me was like a really cool drawing. Like, I liked seeing this in the comic, even though it's not the action time, you know, it's not the action part, but it still looks cool enough to keep my interest. And, you know, he does these, like, scenes of everyday life a little bit too, but he doesn't, like, dwell on them so much, but it's enough to keep the story more than, you know, interesting and not just, Nixed Men, Johnny Redbeard's Nixed Men. It's enough to keep the story more than just silly action, you know. So he's still throughout this whole thing drawn on Marvel Comics paper. But there does, you know, they do end up getting image paper. This is very Frank Miller-esque. He's really down in the dumps, like, by the end of this book. And then in the start of the proper Savage Dragon, you know, he starts from, oh, here's an Image Comics paper. That's like the first one. Maybe is the last page. Let's see. Yeah, I think there might be some other ones mixed in throughout, possibly. Or maybe not. That's interesting. But, you know, they wouldn't have made their own paper yet, probably, so makes sense. Covers, pinup sketches. So this is, I haven't fully gone through this part yet. I wanted to, but I kind of was waiting for the video. This almost doesn't look like his style. It looks a little too slick. And that's another thing that I love about Erik Larsen is a lot of times, at least in this era, his while it's refined and it's good and it's well done, it's also a bit on the sketchy side. You know, you could tell that he's throwing down these lines pretty quickly. Image Comics. That's kind of weird. It must have said Marvel before, I don't know. Yeah, we got Marvel Comics, and then we got Image Comics here. So, you know, they're starting to get their paper. Interesting. And here we got the full on. It's cool to see the black, like he was using some kind of brush and ink, and you know, it's not even, but in the actual comic. Maybe they worked with the contrast and made it even. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. I don't really even remember this drawing ever seeing it, so maybe it was for promotion piece. You can see he redrew this hand. The hand was so much bigger there. You know, he redrew a finger. He might have had like a gun at one point, but he took it out. Like, he really did a lot in redrawing this one. This is a really cool one. I think this was a double page spread. This was one of those insert poster things. Really cool. You get to see a lot of his characters. And then you get that little like robot thing all right in between all of their like legs. It's kind of funny that pokes through. Really cool. Like, again, I wouldn't necessarily think that like a cop gear would be super interesting in a superhero comic, but because he looks like a dragon and he's got green skin and a fin, it's just enough to be like, this is awesome. And the fact that he is a cop makes it kind of even cooler. Spawn rules. Brigade, he's just writing all kinds of comic-y stuff. Liefeld. King Kirby, it was gonna probably be Marvel Comics illustration paper. This is pretty cool. With the shadows, all the like, this is like Dragon the Razor type effect across the dried ink. This is kind of weird. This is like in his down and out stage, but even like something looks a bit off about this. But it's cool. It's grimy, and you can see he's going in with like probably like whiteout. It almost looks like that whiteout texture, but it could be just white paint after, you know, he's put the black in. It's really fun to go back in, and this is the cover to this, the trade paperback. That's pretty cool. I like these simple gun blasts. Like, it's not always easy to know how to do like debris and fire and, you know, gun blasts. That's a really simple way to do it. It's effective. And then the little comic-y zoo, 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 zoo. And that's supposed to be Erik Larsen, so that's cool. That's really cool. And then Erik Larsen himself with his weird way he holds his pencil. If you've ever seen Erik Larsen draw, it's pretty weird. Got another one for you, big guy. So yeah, that is the Erik Larsen Savage Dragon Vault Edition. Hopefully that was interesting to you. You dug it, and yeah, more to come. Like I said, I got the Youngblood one coming in, so I'm looking forward to digging through that as well. So with you guys. So, anyways, hope you have a great day. Yeah. All right.